the audible activity of the stalker, that is the LAPD, engaged. This is a terrorist organization. This is not a legitimate law enforcement agency. The helicopter activity begins with simultaneity to my operation of my phone. So as I'm reviewing my location at the Chino Branch Library on this day in 2022, this is called Crossing Path with LAPD. They're stalking. They're an engineer light. The state system underway. But nonetheless, while I am reviewing where I'm at on this day in 2022, which is the Chino Branch Library, and then I get on third-party group stalker whose pockets I'm going to drain. You have a lot of the people of the state that drive Omnitrans buses who are going to federal prison as well. They're currently in an entirely different region where there will never be any sun visible over me through the window on that bus, which is Route 83, on this day in 2022, while I'm leaving the Chino Branch Library, San Bernardino County, a government venue, by the way, the state engaging in the pattern of conduct, where there is no sun that would be over any of the windshield of the vehicles parked here at Alvarado Gardens, where the entity is engaging in what is the hallmark of stalking using helicopters, engaging in what is the demonic pattern of stalking with audible activity, the method employed being helicopter activity, while the demons that are engaging in group stalking are engaging in surveillance on the venue of the internet with communication devices, with knowledge of the fact that their criminal system is being documented and they're engaging in a sex offense, which is why I have multiple shadows appearing on the ceiling right now. It is the outward demonstration of demon possession. As you see a demon stalking in the path, creating a method of light. As you're seeing Lorraine Pena stalking in the path in the parking lot, the entity is engaging in what is pacing in the parking lot, going forward and backwards, acting in conformity to the P.O.C. while the entity is stalking in a helicopter in alignment to me. There is no sun that's going to be visible through any window on the Omnitrans. There's no sunlight that's going to appear flashing through the windows of the Chino Branch Library. It is the identical pattern of conduct that you see on my ceiling, which again, this is not the product of sunlight. You've seen this light activity and flashing of engineered light. That's the same light activity you'll see on documented on this day at the Chino Branch Library in 2022, particularly during the 5 o'clock hour where I'm capturing group stalking at that venue where the light source, not possibly the sun, would maintain this same perfect alignment with me over my head at that venue as I arrive at during, I believe, the 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning on this day in 2022, and what you're seeing the entity doing to now that I'm in LA, maintaining a light source that is never in conformity with the natural environment. That's not sharing any sky space over the Chino Branch Library. That is, however, within the state's pattern of conduct of engaging in terrorism with a demon-possessed population that are practicing a demonic, so that is relevant to what is revealing surveillance, and it is shown through what is the engineered light. A demon is driving on Alvarado at the moment I begin zooming in on my camera right now. That's very demonic. These are violent sex offenders who engage in the elements of monitoring with knowledge of the fact the moment my panties go down as well. So you're understanding the demonic behavioral pattern, and then that which is employed, which is also sexually motivated, while that ceaseless and hovering and psychotic level of stalking in the unnatural environment remains underway, and documenting what is terrorism audibly perceived through the sound of a helicopter, which is a threat to your life, your safety, your overall well-being, and the group stalking conduct by the people of the state. Let me be clear, the terrorism via directed light is heavily documented amongst the people of the state, pacing, not driving. They're group stalking, and they're also providing an admission against the entire population while engineering light as though they're in an arcade, as bouncing off of the sidewalks and off of the vehicles. And that is documented very heavily. The entity is engaging in what is the provision of evidence, which is going to be the federal prosecution of, indeed, the state of California. While I'm subject to this criminal system, while I'm inside of building 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6, and this entity that is going to be prosecuted for terrorism in the United States, which is going to be also treated as a violent sex offense committed by that government, and it's going to be individualized down to the names of the entity that is acting as one. The entity is engaging in this criminal system with real-time ongoing knowledge of the fact that both it is being documented, that it's going against all of that entity, and still exhibiting an ongoing determination to do so, so thereby reveals the mental illness of that population, who sought to engage in and continue to engage in what is no longer a secret, and what is revealing the ticking time bombs that are that does create, form, reveal what is this matter of public corruption that a government would, under no circumstances and for no legitimate purpose whatsoever, practice what is stalking an American citizen literally through the constituents of that state, all of whom are of that same condition. They're demons, and it's demonic activity. And just want to be clear, while you're looking at the evidence of the engineered light, which I'm going to literally drain the pockets of Omnitrans for. Omnitrans is a terrorist. Omnitrans is an illegitimate business. They're also a violent sex offender, as the pattern of conduct is underway, in the same way that speaker companies, in the same way that Amazon Prime, in the same way that UPS, in the same way that Budget, rent a car, rent a truck, In the same way that the people of the state are exhibiting that ongoing facilitation for aiding the practicing a criminal system of surveillance, so is Omnitrans. There is no sun that's going to be over me that's going to be seen through the windshields of these vehicles while I am inside a building, my apartment building, which is in 1806 North Alvarado Street. Not only is there no shared sky space, there's no sunlight that's going to be on that bus. There's no sunlight that's going to be on my ceiling. There's no sunlight that's going to be ricocheting off of cars. It is revealing what is a demon-possessed population, and that whole population, their criminal conduct of that whole population is going to be used against itself. They're going to prosecute each other. In other words, this is speaking to what is revealing this matter of public corruption and showing what is the psychotic criminal system that's underway in the state of California and what is a national emergency. And it becomes legally relevant, the fact that the national emergency consists of information revealing, which is undeniable and insurmountable with regard to a federal prosecution, but undeniable, the demon possession of an entire population, which is the reason as to why they are engaging in what is such unfathomable and unthinkable and deplorable and disgusting criminal activity as one. It is, again, 6:12 p.m. and the entity is sitting around in helicopters stalking. Sitting around in helicopters, not in Afghanistan, in the state of California, in the United States. And I want you to look at this light source while you hear that. And Omnitrans is going out of business for it. They are in San Bernardino County. And I'm going to drain the pockets and I'm going to criminally and civilly prosecute them. They are providing a body of evidence against the people of the state. The Chino Branch Library providing a body of evidence against the people of the state. The Los Angeles Police Department, the people of the state living off of Alvarado at Silverview at Alvarado Gardens, off of Lobdell, off of Effie, off of Avalon, on Glendale Boulevard right now, acting in concert with the entity that's providing evidence against itself while you're listening to and witnessing the elements of monitoring. And it is entirely demonic. This is P.O.C. I want you to look at what's the demon providing audible activity against a whole population, engaging in terrorism, grounds of federal prison, a violent sex offender, and I want to show you what's the evidence of the fact that they are engaging in terrorism in the U.S., the fact that the sun that's in alignment to me while they're stalking in the path with the terrorists that use helicopters, and you have what is engineer light appearing above my head, multiple shadows, and demons that are driving up and down are engaging in that sex offense and that terrorizing system in concert together as one, where this is never going to create any light on the bus, Route 83, that's headed back toward what is Ontario on this day in 2022. It's currently 6:13 p.m. And I'm documenting the maintenance of a light source that's not going to be seen through any of those windows. And that's how you know what those terrorists are doing. And that's also how you know not only their condition, but the sex offense that they're engaging in as one. Crossing path on Alvarado, the same legal analysis, all of them together engaging in what is malicious and criminal conduct with impunity in concert with the state that provides audible activity in the method of helicopter, which is the evidence that they are group stalking with the state of California, who uses helicopters in the unnatural environment, in the specific environment, which is, by the way, occurring under circumstances where they themselves, meaning the people, have directly identified and literally admitted the fact that they're demon-possessed while they are group stalking, which is what group stalking is. It's demonic. It's by only the demon-possessed. It's very exclusive. And the environment is demonic. The environment is literally providing the evidence against the entity. And this is what the entity is going to be faced with in federal court. And I'm going to drain the pockets not only of speaker companies, not only is our Todd speaker and every group stalker employed by third-party speaker companies, they're going to federal prison. All right? They're going to be prosecuted for what is, let me be clear, this engineered light is a violation of your quiet enjoyment. The ongoing stalking by helicopters is a violation of your quiet enjoyment. The ongoing admission by that entity while you see flashing directed light, this is the ongoing admission by a demon-possessed population who engages in more terrorism, more sexual violence, more stalking behavior as you expose it. Because there is no flashing light that's ever going to appear on your ceiling, and never is it a product of sunlight, nor is it ever appearing downward at a downward trajectory as well, because what you saw on my pictures, which you'll see in the still images, through the closed blinds, also the engineered light is piercing through closed blinds, magnified in size, moving all across the carpet. So all I'm doing is capturing video so that you can see the people of the state who are going to, let me be clear, everybody at Alvarado Gardens is going to federal prison. Everybody. The entire property. This is criminal surveillance, and this is state surveillance in the state of California, and it is not happening in what is a third world country such as the horrendous acts that are underway in countries such as areas such as Afghanistan is what comes to mind immediately. Terrorist acts that are, let me be clear, occurring in the United States, the so-called free world, and what you will understand as with regard to the unnatural environment where it is revealing to you what is the very warped mindset and behaviors of that entity and the legal framework that surrounds them. Walking an engineered light to the dumpster is called crossing path. It's called impunity, and saying Lee is going to federal prison and then she's going to be deported. Engineered lights all over that dumpster, and this is a means whereby a whole population are maintaining the elements of monitoring while demons are sitting in helicopters relying on this terrorist who is not even a natural born citizen to criminally facilitate. That's the same thing they're doing in traffic. P.O.C. The entity is relying on that. Okay, and this is the same entity that provides an admission against the whole population. The light source is directly over the windshield. That's how you know that this is group stalking, and that's a psychopath that engages in taking such measures while they're targeting you. Another terrorist that's going to be rooted out, taken out of the country. All right, the entity does so. You saw the entity fly over by helicopter while engaging in surveillance sitting in the parking lot, which is, by the way, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's 6 in the evening. Engineer light across the ground while they open and close the door. Those are the terrorists that are currently in this country, and they're going to be deported out. They're going to be permanently removed while they're in this country, in the United States, with a corrupt government in the United States terrorizing American citizens, and then providing admission to the fact that they are indeed engaged in what is group stalking and seeking to obstruct justice, which is the substance of the audible activity provided by speaker companies. It is an admission that the people of the state are indeed engaged in this system and are fully aware of the documentation that's being published, which is well within the necessary federal investigation that remains underway. And let me be clear, a population is going to federal prison for that. The workforce of speaker companies is going to federal prison for that. And you just saw demonic pacing on this side of the parking lot and then maintaining one on this side of the parking lot. And you can see the light source right over the windshield. All right. And that's how you know also the condition of that malicious actor, which is a terrorist acting in conformity as one. Up and down on Alvarado, in and out of the parking lot, group stalking on the property adjacent, living all in relevant position. It's the entire population. Engineer light is touching on the properties on the opposite side, on both sides of this hillside. As you've seen this entity stalking in helicopter for 47 minutes in front of my apartment. You saw what was flashing of light now, approximately maybe 3 minutes ago, flashing of light as though that would ever be sunlight. You're listening to my documentation while the demons exhibit hostility. That is impossible light activity. It's all going toward the prosecution of that entity because it's the specific environment. It is speaking to real-time knowledge of the fact that you are being exposed, that you are literally engaging in the act of terrorism, which is, by the way, the grounds of federal prison for the entire state that is documented engaging in terrorism. So in other words, every state actor, every law enforcement officer that's documented, those that are stalking in helicopters, those are signing in on the clock, signing in their time in the helicopters, those that are accountable for the fuel for gassing up the helicopters, putting in on the log their times and using the helicopters. And let me be clear, it's not as though the federal government is going to rely on what the LAPD represents, the fact that they are demon possessed, the fact that they are malicious actors, the fact that they are a terrorist organization hiding behind the name of a law enforcement agency is already fully well known. Okay, so it's not going to be solely relying on the representations of a corrupt law enforcement agency. But let me be clear, everybody's flying helicopters engaging in terrorism, they're going to federal prison. And the entity's impossible light activity inside of my apartment is speaking for what is the grounds of federal prison. That's why this entire environment, this entire property, which is, again, 59 units large, and you have the documentation of what is a sunrise and a sunset. You have the documentation of what is under no circumstances sunlight that's going to appear on my ceiling, creating multiple shadows, even flashing of this engineered light. Sunlight that's going to appear on the asphalt while a terrorist opens and closes their door. While the light source is visible through the windshield of that vehicle that's parked at the specific environment, nowhere near any Omnitrans bus, Route 83, headed back from Chino, California to Ontario, California. While driving, by the way, what is north on Euclid Avenue, you have what is the evidence of what is malice. And not only is this Brian Suh, who's going to federal prison, this is a terrorist. This is indicative of how terrorists are going to be treated. They're going to federal prison and then they're going to be deported. All right. And let me be clear, already also documented those that are connected to him coming onto the grounds, those that are acting businesses coming onto the grounds, engaging in that system. By the way, this same parking lot, that was 11 o'clock in the morning. It is currently 6:20 p.m. and all the terrorists do is sound more and more helicopter activity. That is to the demise of Brian Suh and every other documented third-party group stalker, the entire entity, including Omnitrans, who has a workforce who are going to federal prison for group stalking with Upland PD, for group stalking with Ontario PD, for group stalking with the Chino PD, for group stalking with Montclair PD, for group stalking with the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department, and for also being documented engaging in what is the exposure of the group stalking that the state of California, acting via the terrorist organization LAPD, is engaging in. All right, the entity is engaging in what is ongoing impunity while its criminal system is revealed, and it reveals to you what is a stalker hiding behind the bushes right here while LAPD flies over. It's light activity, it's surveillance sitting in the path while light activity is created while they sit underneath a light source and engineer light is moving all across my ceiling while they're using a vehicle for a method of light activity. This entire property, all 35 units at Silverview Townhomes, is also going to be prosecuted with this ongoing concerted act with the state. That's exactly what's happening. They are prosecuting themselves over and over and over again while they maintain the criminal elements of monitoring, which is exposure for an ongoing criminal conduct, with revealing what is ongoing impunity, revealing what is a mental illness, psychopaths that are currently on the loose. And they're going to be treated like the dangerous terrorists that they are, the loose animals that they are, which they are exhibiting through their own criminal and lawless behavior. It is currently 6:22 p.m. where there would never be any sun in perfect alignment with me in Los Angeles. Not only while I'm in Chino, California on public transportation going back to Ontario, but while I'm inside of this same exact apartment in the morning and I'm documenting a sunrise where you see demons and malicious third-party terrorists such as Brian Suh, group stalking with real-time knowledge of everything that he is participating in and facilitating. Okay, and Brian Suh in particular, this is nothing other than an example how the rest of the terrorists in this country are going to be treated. And they're going to be sitting in federal prison, and then they're going to be shipped out of here. All right, this is exactly what you saw Universal Waste engaging in early in the morning, acting with LAPD, just sitting in the path, stalking in the path with the vehicle lights on, while the demons are pacing up and down Alvarado. I want you to make sure that you understand what is maintaining elements of monitoring. All right, walking toward the vehicle is light activity. There is no sunlight that they're walking in. The sunlight is appearing, the sunlight they're walking in is also appearing on my ceiling inside of my apartment. These are demons that are creating and acting with malice and impunity in that specific environment, and they are exemplifying the ongoing malice, terrorizing system that the state of California is engaging in, the people of the state, where there is a body of evidence of a population stalking with engineered light, which is never naturally occurring, under the light source, which is never remaining over one address for the duration of the day, and this is in conformity to a long documented pattern of conduct. You have heard the state provide ongoing amplification of helicopter. Not only is that speaking to, by the way, the direct evidence of what is federal prosecution for group stalking by the people of the state, because this is prosecution for the population of California. The government and the government system that has already been handled, okay? So this is prosecution for the population, and the people of the state have directly exhibited the malice and the entity that is engaging in terrorism in the shoes of the government, and that population is also going to be federally prosecuted, every single last one. It is currently 6:24 p.m. Nobody's hiding. There's no anonymity. Nobody's getting away with anything. The entity is going to be prosecuted at the same level of malice that they exact with regard to the system of group stalking, that same level of what is intensifying at federal prosecution based on the group conduct, the criminals acting as one, and you're going to apply that same measure, that same analysis when you're prosecuting them. Because you know whose name you do know? Brian Suh. That's who you do know. And he's going to be promptly deported. And those of that same status, I want to be clear, you've been granted the privilege. Oh, you just lost it. Okay? It is currently, again, 6:24 p.m. This is engineer light on my ceiling. I want you to see, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3. And the entity maintains this engineer light. You can see the still images where the light appears and disappears on my ceiling. The entity maintains this engineer light on my ceiling, which is letting you know what the entire population is doing. That's group stalking right there, very easily. And those demons are documented doing so while engineer light moves all across the asphalt and all across the vehicles, which is impossible light activity. Pay attention to the documentation captured on June 7, 2024. It is the prosecution for the entire population of the state of California. Again, it's 6:25 p.m. This is P.O.C.